lawmakers don't seem to care about the toll that recreational use of marijuana is taking on American cities today. Cities like Denver, Colorado. In 2012, Denver, Colorado approved Amendment 64. Amendment 64 is a law that was passed to allow the recreational use of marijuana. Not just medically, but actual marijuana, where you can go to a dispensary and buy marijuana edibles or hash or whatever you want to get. So, in 2012, now that marijuana is no longer an open secret in the state of Colorado, are they really starting to see the benefits that they were promised from the very beginning? We're going to take a look at that. So, three main things that have been happening since the legalization of recreational use of marijuana is drug-related traffic incidents have increased. Economics haven't been as great as they were told that they were going to be. And there's been a spike in drug use. So why is this? Well, while some feel that marijuana legalization was their road to freedom, quote unquote, it also comes with some concerns. Basically, in a post by USA Today in the state of Colorado, that marijuana-related traffic deaths have actually increased since 2012. And in 2017, an analysis by the Denver Post showed that Colorado had experienced a 145% increase in the number of fatal crashes involving marijuana-impaired drivers. And according to the coroner's report, a dozen of those victims had levels 5 times higher than that was allowed by law. Additionally, in a study by the Highway Data Loss Institute, the number of vehicle collision claims since legalization is actually up by 16%. And opponents of marijuana legalization for recreational use said that it leads to a number of problems, including the likelihood of people driving under the influence. And in fact, this statistic shows that in 2006, basically 33 out of 535 traffic-related fatalities were due to marijuana use, while in 2016, 123 out of 608 were actually due to marijuana use. So that's after the legalization of marijuana was approved for recreational use. So those are pretty staggering statistics and pretty hurtful for the state of Colorado as well. Secondly, according to some, Colorado has seen a slight increase in revenue, but in 2016, the tax revenue for marijuana was reported at $156 million. But the total revenue from the state was $13 billion. So that means, in this little pie chart right here, that this is the whole total revenue for the state, and only 1.18% of this little pie chart was from marijuana. So everybody's kind of looking at this now and saying, well, you know, with the problems that we're actually seeing with marijuana, recreational use of marijuana, was it really worth it by the taxes? Supporting that situation is basically the school system in Colorado as well. So the school system, locals from the school system, like superintendents and teachers, voted for Amendment 64 because they were promised monies from the taxes that were going to be given to them from the marijuana sales, right? So Cherry Creek schools in particular, which is actually one of the largest in the district in downtown Denver, hasn't actually seen any money that they were promised. In fact, Dr. Harry Bull, the superintendent of Cherry Creek schools, actually said, so far the only thing that we have seen marijuana bring to our schools has actually been marijuana. Okay, well, I kind of understand that. And the reason why they haven't seen any money is because of BEST, B-E-S-T, which is a stipend for what they signed on for the Amendment 64. Basically what it does is it puts in $40 million, and it's almost like a hold that you have to have. And before that they can give it to the school district, they actually have to give it for other priorities, like construction priorities and everything like that in the city. So a lot of the superintendents and teachers, and again, everybody that's voted for Amendment 64 in the school system, feel like that they've been a little bamboozled, if you will, and that Amendment 64 really wasn't portrayed to them like they thought it was going to be, because they thought that they were going to be able to make renovations and upgrades. So while lawmakers are busy as bees making sure that they collect the tax dollars, the school officials are kind of going, but at what cost to us, because we're not seeing this money yet. Lastly, the recreational use of marijuana in Colorado has actually impacted the youth and their drug use. So in a Rocky Mountain High intensity drug trafficking report, super long, Colorado's youth rate for drug use is actually highest in the nation, 74% higher than the actual national average. And in 2015, 38% of college students indicated that they use marijuana, which is up by 30% from 2006. Pretty staggering statistics, being that, we're just keep rolling out the legalization of recreational use of marijuana. And so the question is, what are the officials thinking about this, and what are they doing about this? Well, actually, not much. The governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper, actually reported saying in a Rolling Stone magazine interview that there were no problems with the legalization of marijuana, and everything was going according to plan, and everything was great. So the problem was that it's really not. And in fact, 2017, a group of Harvard scientists wrote a letter to the governor seeking a repeal or another statement to correct him about marijuana legalization not playing a role in youth drug use. In fact, they basically said that, hey, here are statistics. How could you say that it's not playing any part in drug use whatsoever? So it's a pretty big issue because, youth are the future of tomorrow, and they're the ones that are going to basically be helping our country out. So if we're looking towards them to make leadership roles, and there's a huge drug problem, it's an issue in today's society. So what's there to consider basically with the onset of legalizing drugs for recreational use? Well, traffic violations, issues with the youth, obviously, and economically, if it's not doing as what we thought it was going to do and it's hurting the public more than helping them, why are we still doing this, basically? Colorado's decision to legalize marijuana has actually not only impacted their bottom line, but it's actually impacted their citizens as well. With the car accidents, like I said, and the financial obligations not being met, I believe that lawmakers should consider about continuing the legalization of marijuana in other states, and also encouraging everybody to think about these policies coming to fruition when we're thinking about legalizing anything or voting for a policy that could affect people's lives. And this is only a small amount of things that have been happening. There actually have been drug-related deaths, even though we don't see them a whole lot, because we believe that, marijuana doesn't really cause a whole lot of problems. But there have been incidents where husbands are killing their wives, and especially in the case of Christine Kirk, who lived in Colorado, who was killed by her husband by eating marijuana-infused candy. He's actually in prison now, and he got 30 years for it. So what's there to think about here? Let's see. Pretty interestingly enough, Dispensaries are actually outnumbering fast food and coffee joints. So this is the number of dispensaries, this is the number of McDonald's, and this is the number of Starbucks actually in the Denver area. So with that being said, Colorado has 3 times as many marijuana dispensaries as Starbucks. So with these issues in mind, don't you kind of think that it's important for lawmakers to think long and hard about the legalization of marijuana for recreational use across the rest of America?